I woke up from surgery expecting relief, maybe even comfort. Instead, the first question that came out of my mouth changed everything. Where are my kids? What I heard next didn't just shock me, it completely broke my trust in the people I called family. Because while I was lying unconscious in an operating room, my parents made a choice I will never forget. And what they did with my children that day still haunts me. CTA. If you want to hear how everything unfolded and what really happened behind my back, watch till the end. And don't forget to subscribe for more real, emotional stories like this. After my surgery, everything felt blurry, like I was stuck between sleep and reality. My body was weak, my head heavy, and every movement hurt more than I expected. But none of that mattered in that moment, because my mind was only focused on one thing: my children. I kept asking the same question over and over again, even before I was fully awake. Where are my kids? At first, I thought maybe they were outside with my parents, maybe they were just waiting for me to recover, maybe everything was fine, and I was just overthinking because of the anesthesia. That's what I wanted to believe, because I trusted them. Before my surgery, I had clearly told my parents what needed to happen. I said it more than once. Please stay with the kids. Don't leave them alone for anything. I won't be able to take care of them for a while. They both agreed, without hesitation. My mother even touched my hand and said, "Don't worry. We've got everything under control." That was the last moment I felt any peace. I believed them completely. I thought no matter what happened in that operating room, my children would be safe when I woke up. But when I finally opened my eyes, something felt off. The room was too quiet. No laughter, no movement, no familiar sound of my kids talking or playing, just silence. I turned my head slowly, trying to focus through the pain, and that's when I noticed something strange. There was no sign of my parents either. I assumed maybe they had stepped out for a moment, maybe to get food, maybe to call someone. But something inside me didn't feel right. I reached for my phone with shaky hands. It was difficult, like my body wasn't fully mine yet. And that's when a message popped up from my neighbor. Just a few words, but they changed everything. My kids are alone at your house. I don't see your parents anywhere. For a few seconds, I couldn't even process what I was reading. My heart didn't just drop, it stopped. I read it again. And again. Alone. My kids. Alone. While I was in surgery. And my parents were gone. I tried to sit up, but pain shot through my body. Nurses rushed in, telling me to stay still, but I couldn't think straight anymore. One thought kept repeating in my mind. This can't be real. Because if it was real, then everything I believed about my family was wrong. And I still didn't know the worst part of it yet. I kept staring at my phone, hoping the message would change, hoping it was some kind of mistake. But it didn't change. My kids were alone. And my parents were not there. I pressed the call button for the nurse immediately, my voice shaking as I asked for help. "I need to know who is with my children, please. I need answers." She tried to calm me down, telling me I had just come out of surgery and needed rest. But how do you rest when your entire world might be falling apart? After some time, I finally got permission to make calls. The first person I tried was my mother. No answer. I called again. Still nothing. Then I called my father. Same result. That silence was louder than any words. A few minutes later, the neighbor sent another message. I checked again. No one is home with the kids. I'm trying to stay near your house, but I don't see any adult around. My hands started shaking uncontrollably. I felt a mix of panic and disbelief building inside me. Because this wasn't just being busy. This was a promise broken in the worst possible way. I forced myself to think logically. Maybe they stepped out for a short emergency. Maybe they would be back soon. But even as I tried to convince myself, I knew something didn't feel right. Because I remembered something clearly. My sister. She had a heart appointment scheduled that same day. It was supposed to be important. Life or death important, according to my parents. But I never imagined, not even once, that it would take priority over my own surgery. Hours passed slowly. Every minute felt heavier than the last. I kept checking my phone again and again, waiting for a call, a message, anything that would explain what was happening. But nothing came. Instead, another message arrived from the neighbor. They're still alone. I don't know how long this has been going on. That was the moment something inside me changed. It wasn't just fear anymore. It was anger. Deep, quiet anger, the kind that doesn't explode immediately but builds slowly in silence. Because I started realizing something painful. This wasn't confusion. This wasn't an accident. This was a choice. Someone chose to leave my children. And I was about to find out exactly who made that decision. Fire CTA. If you're watching this right now, don't forget to like and subscribe for more emotional true life stories like this, because what happens next will change everything she believed about her family. When I was finally stable enough to move around, I demanded to speak to someone who knew what happened that day. My mind couldn't rest anymore. The uncertainty was worse than the pain from surgery. A nurse eventually allowed me a short call list after seeing how distressed I was. I didn't hesitate. I called my mother again. This time, she picked up. But her voice was calm. Too calm. Like nothing was wrong. Before I could even speak properly, she said, "You're awake now? Good. Don't stress yourself." That sentence alone made my chest tighten. Because I wasn't calling to not stress myself. I was calling about my children. I cut her off immediately. "Where are my kids?" There was a pause. A long, heavy pause. Then she sighed like I was asking something unnecessary. "They're fine. Relax." But I didn't relax. Because fine was not an answer. I raised my voice for the first time. "Mom, I was in surgery. You were supposed to be with them. Where are they right now?" Another pause. Then she finally said it. "They're at home." I froze. "At home alone?" She quickly responded, almost defensive. "Your sister's heart appointment was urgent. We had no choice. We thought we would be back quickly." That sentence hit me harder than the surgery ever did. We thought. My children's safety reduced to a we thought. My hands started shaking again. "So you left them alone?" I asked. And then came the part that broke something in me completely. "Yes," she said. "But nothing happened. You're overreacting." Overreacting. I repeated the word in my mind, trying to understand it. My kids were left alone during my surgery, and I was overreacting? Something inside me went silent. Not because I had no words, but because I had too many. I ended the call immediately. I couldn't breathe properly anymore. Because now I knew. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't urgency. This was a decision they made and justified afterward. And what hurt the most was not just what they did, it was how normal it sounded to them. Like my children being left alone didn't matter. Like my pain didn't matter. Like I didn't matter. And in that moment, I realized I was about to see a side of my family I had never seen before. Fire CTA. If you're still watching, don't forget to subscribe for more emotional true life stories like this, because what happens next will reveal the real reason they chose my sister over my children, and it changes everything. After that call, I stopped speaking for a while. Not because I had nothing to say, but because everything I believed about my family had started collapsing in my mind. I kept replaying their words over and over again. "Your sister's heart appointment was urgent. We thought we would be back quickly. You're overreacting." None of it made sense to me anymore. So I did the only thing I could do. I called my neighbor again. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped the phone. She picked up immediately. And before I even spoke, she said, "I'm still near your house. The kids are okay, but they were scared earlier." That one sentence hit me harder than anything else. They were scared. My children. Left alone. While I was unconscious in surgery, I closed my eyes tightly, trying to hold myself together. Then I asked her the question I was afraid of asking. How long were they alone? There was a pause. Then she answered carefully. Long enough for them to start crying. My throat went dry instantly, because now it wasn't just betrayal. It was damage. Emotional damage to my children. And I wasn't there to protect them. I felt anger rising again, but this time it wasn't just at my parents. It was at myself too, for trusting them, for believing that family meant safety. I asked her if she saw my parents at any point. She hesitated before answering. Yes, earlier in the morning. They left in a rush. Said something about your sister's hospital appointment. After that, I didn't see them again. That was it. No confusion anymore. No excuses left. They left. They chose to leave. And they didn't come back in time. I ended the call slowly. My hands felt numb now. I stared at the hospital ceiling, trying to process everything. The silence in the room felt heavier than ever, because now I understood something painful. While I was fighting to survive surgery, my children were fighting fear alone. And my family had made a decision that placed one life above another. But what I still didn't know was that this was only the surface of what really happened that day. And the truth behind that decision was going to break me even further. Fire CTA. If you're watching this story, don't forget to subscribe for more emotional real-life stories like this, because in the final act, she discovers why her parents truly chose her sister, and it was far worse than she ever imagined. By the time I was discharged from the hospital, I wasn't the same person anymore. My body was healing slowly, but my trust in my family was gone completely. When I got home, the first thing I saw was my children. They ran to me immediately, holding me, crying. Not because I had been away, but because they were scared of being alone that day. That moment broke me in a way I can't even explain. I held them tightly and promised myself one thing. Never again will I leave their safety in someone else's hands. Later that evening, my parents finally showed up, like nothing had happened. My mother even tried to smile. "How are you feeling now?" she asked casually. But I didn't respond immediately. I just looked at them, silently. Then I asked the only question that mattered. "Why did you leave my children alone?" My father spoke first. His tone was defensive. "Your sister's condition was serious. You don't understand how urgent it was." I nodded slowly. Then I asked, "So my children weren't serious?" Silence. My mother stepped in quickly. "We thought we'd be back soon. Nothing bad happened, so why are you making this so big?" That sentence, that nothing bad happened, that was the moment I realized something important. They didn't see it. They didn't feel it. They didn't understand the fear my children went through, or the pain I felt waking up alone in that hospital bed. So I stood up slowly, and I told them calmly, "You didn't just leave my children alone. You showed me exactly where I stand in this family." They tried to respond, but I didn't let them, because for the first time in my life, I wasn't looking for their approval anymore. I was looking at reality. And the reality was simple. When I needed them the most, they chose someone else. After that day, everything changed. Boundaries were set. Distance grew. And I finally understood that family is not just about blood. It's about responsibility and respect. Because love without responsibility is not love at all. Fire Final CTA. If this story touched you, don't forget to like and subscribe for more emotional true life stories like this, because sometimes the people closest to us are the ones who teach us the hardest lessons.